This is Kinyero polling unit here in Kiambu County in Kenya, Nairobi, and voters have been out as early as 6 a.m. to cast their votes, determining who becomes the next democratically elected president of Kenya under a new constitution. Expectations for the general elections in Kenya have been high both locally and internationally. This is a result of the experience of the 2007 general elections. Crowds of voters lining up in queues extending kilometers away from as early as 6 a.m. when voting was expected to commence. Some were at the polling stations earlier than they opened.
It's important because you expect to bring in leaders who are going to serve you for the next 5 years, and you expect change from what you had before to what you have now. So if you want change, then you have to be there. If you're not there, then who will you blame if things don't go the way you want them to go?
This time around, we have had very good campaigns that people have been told not to be violent, and as you can see here, we are very peaceful. And I hope in the other side of parts of Kenya, the same will be exercised like here.
The voting process seems peaceful and organized, except for some voters who might not be able to cast the ballot.
I came here at 4, and despite problems queuing because of disorganization and the computers having problems, I waited in queue up to around from 4 to 12. And now I come to the register and my name is not there.
Those people are complaining, those people who didn't verify their names, when the IPC say that you have to verify your name so that you can check whether you are in the IPC list. So those are if your name is not appearing in the BVR kit or in the register, then you are not allowed to vote.
International observers were also keen to see how the process is going. Heiko Menhertz, a political scientist and observer in this election, spoke with Gotel News.
Voters' turnout is impressive and enthusiastic, and I really honor the Kenyans for their ability to wait for long hours in the queues in the hot weather to cast their votes. That's something very special. You would not find this in Germany.
For some who voted early, there were no challenges. This is the polling station in Kibera DC Social Ground, Kenya's largest slum and Africa's largest urban slum. Voters here have turned out in their numbers in Kenya's critical election under a new constitution. Kenyans are at the verge of making history as the first East African country to use the biometric voter registration machines. Many expect to set the pace for peaceful, transparent and credible general elections in Africa. Meanwhile, everything seems ready at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Collation of results will be done at the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi. Local and international media houses have also set up base here. The counting is expected to commence at 5:30 p.m. local time, and results are expected early hours of March 5th. From Nairobi in Kenya, Martins Dixon, Gotel News. Voting patterns are unavoidable in general elections, and Kenya is not an exception. In 2007, research by the University of Nairobi shows a high voter turnout in areas where presidential candidates came from, indicating a link between ethnic, regional preferences and candidates.
The election had been competed largely on ethnic grounds, and it had been loaded with very largely ethnic expectations. So that contest then ended up being violent.
Negative ethnic politics in Kenya have been confronted by the various political parties and NGOs.
Peace! We want peace! We want peace!
Emphasis on policies and service delivery is being emphasized, especially in the rural areas.
We want peace! We want peace! We want peace! We want peace! We want...
In Uhuru Kenyatta's campaign team, the Luos there. The Luos. At the same time, in Raila's campaign team, we have Kikuyus. They want to show that they are national. but the vast majority of the voter, they will vote according to tribe.
Peace rallies have also formed major part of campaigns. The motivation to vote along ethnic divides is real. Individual security may be a factor. Security, roads, education, and job creation are tangible and strong campaign points. With 42 tribes in a country of 40 million people, politicians tend to always exploit these differences to canvass for more votes. What Kenyans will make out of this will go a long way in determining the success of the March 4th general elections. From Kibera in Nairobi, Kenya, Martins Dixon, GoTel News. Mary Mumbi is a victim of the 2007 post-election violence.
Nikiwa hapo nikijaribu nikingangana tu venye nitatoka ndio niliona sasa ninasikia.
When I was trying to figure out how I was going to come out of the church, I felt my entire body was on fire. Then I looked at my child and saw that he was not yet affected by the flames. I was in the vestry and I realized that there was a small window that my child could fit in. I undressed my child and left him wrapped in a shawl and then tossed him outside. Then I went back to try and save myself.
Mary is not an isolated case. Many Kenyans have similar stories as regards losing their lands and heritage following the post-election violence. Land has become a huge issue and one of major determinants in the March 4th general elections. Land grabbing in Kenya dates back to pre-independence. Various land reports commissioned by the government exposed politicians involved in snatching land, including natural forest.
Yes.
Analysts say things have really gotten worse after the post-election violence.
There are those who want justice, whether it is going to be locally or internationally, and there are those who want peace and reconciliation as opposed to justice.
The Kenyan government recently enacted the Lands Act and formed the National Lands Commission to remedy the situation. This includes streamlining the registration of titles to land. Other issues on the mind of Kenyans as they approach the polls are the economy, education, agriculture, and security. On education, the 2012 teacher strike kept primary and secondary school students at home for 3 weeks.
There is a triangle here. 60 degrees.
Teachers finally got a pay rise from 13,750 Kenyan shillings to 19,000 Kenyan shillings for the lowest paid teacher. The highest paid will now earn 142,000 Kenyan shillings. With all these issues at hand, much is expected from the second democratically elected president of Kenya. From Nairobi in Kenya, I am Martins Dixon, GoTel News.